Greetings, hello, and welcome to the Horrorific Talk Spot. I'm Colin.
I'm Cameron.
How are you?
Yeah.
Sorry, so finally got it set up. I've never hosted a live stream before, so I'm like, poke. But I think we're doing something anyway. Yep.
Probably here.
Yep, I think we're right there. Yep, it's saying that we're out there, so that's a good start. So, what are we all about here on this show? We're a brand new podcast. We've only been going a month now.
That sounds right.
Yeah, a few episodes in. So this segment, last Sunday of the month, we're going to talk all things horrific. So that, yeah, so that encompasses movies, books, games. If anyone's any ideas what we could look at, I'm more than happy for suggestions. Just send us down that old rabbit hole. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Always look for more shit.
Yeah. Always need a lot of crap in your life. It's it's a little comfort blanket. You just gotta gather up the stuff. So this show, we had a couple of things, few segments. Yes, this will be a bit jumpy and starty till we get into the swing of things. Bear with us, folks. Just first time and all that there. Be gentle. So yeah, and we're both shy people as well.
Just a little bit.
Just yeah. So first thing, horrific releases. We are going to look at The Babysitter.
Yes, The Babysitter. And of course, I don't have my notes pulled up right now because that would have made sense.
Nah, don't be silly. That's like being prepared.
No.
So, The Babysitter, The Killer Queen, the sequel to the original. I have to admit, I loved the first one.
The first one.
The first one was absolutely hilarious. It was just one of those, whoa, what's going on? It's madness. So, this movie is set... Oh, by the way, spoilers, as if I need to say that. If you really don't understand if we're talking and reviewing stuff that we're going to maybe give away some of the plot moves, yeah, that's your fault, not ours. But if you haven't seen the first movie yet, or the second one, go do it. It's on Netflix. Give them well worth it. So this movie is set 2 years after the first film, which just the idea of, what is he, like 13, 14-year-old kid still needing a babysitter. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, clearly he fucks up like all the time, so whatever.
I don't think it was that. He's actually quack it.
I know.
Yeah. He's actually...
Clearly he take care of himself with the first film, but whatever.
Yeah, it's the mother. I think in this second one, you see it's the mother's absolutely nuts. She is.
Right there. I mean, it's a little understandable given the events of the first film and how it ends.
Yeah. So this is set 2 years later. Colt's in school. He's the only kid that wears a suit in school, which is odd. It's like he's setting himself up to get bullied. It's almost like there's a masochistic thing going here. It's like he's setting himself apart from the pack, just wanting to get wheeled on. But he's been trying to tell people these whole events happened. Nobody's believing him. He's in that first scene with the counsellor is brilliant. Like, I love that guy. I need to look up the actor's name, but the guy that's playing the school counsellor, but he's also the school nurse. He's moonlighting. Yep. So he's he's got his counsellor jacket on just before the bell goes. Like, okay, time for me to be a nurse again. Out comes the syringe. You're like, what? It's just that sort of slapstick humour I love. It's not meant to be intelligent. Just switch your brain off and enjoy it. That's
it's a classic shit you kind of expect from somebody like McGee to produce or to pump out.
Yeah, that's whole homage. I think just 80s horror.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think when horror changed, sort of mid-80s, it realised that, especially with franchises and sequels, and this was a running joke the whole way through it, and maybe if you're a certain age you'll not get it, but when you're kind of us, you do, and I think a lot of these films now are realising that their older audience are the ones that will actually stay with them and, you know, appreciate what they make. So all these running jokes are aimed at us. So, sorry kids, it's not all about you anymore.
Yeah.
So, the whole Terminator 2 joke, the whole way through it, of, yeah, the sequel's better than the original, I think they knew, it was all tongue-in-cheek, they knew that it was never going to land. I think when you get the first movie, and you get the surprise and the jumps and the sort of wow factor, you're not going to get that back again. So they know not to try, so the only thing you can do is give a loving nod to the first movie or the first set of movies that set you there, and then just go with it and have fun.
Yeah, otherwise you end up like Manhattan or something.
Yeah. Oh god. Oh man, that's something we'll probably have to look at it in some stage. But favorite characters?
Oh shit. So of course the main kid, like he's funny as shit. I guess. I admittedly I didn't get to end up watching all of it. I've been busy as shit this week, unfortunately. But yeah, from what I did see, great. Kid's just fucking great. So looking forward to finishing it.
Yeah, it was good. I have to say, I like Max. I like Robbie Amell's character. He actually did a good job for somebody so wooden when it comes to acting. He actually threw himself into the role, and I just love the fact that, yeah, you kicked me in the balls, Cole, you did great, yeah, I'm still going to kill you, but fuck yeah. And he's just being the typical American bro, but it's a parody of it. And, yeah, he actually kept the whole thing going, because the other guys were a bit kind of stiff and wooden, but he was the one that actually threw something into the character. Or what was the blonde's name? She was funny too.
Oh, I don't remember. I always suck. I always suck because I haven't written down. I forget.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to work on, because I'm terrible as well. I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then somebody goes, what about such and such? I'm going, which one's that again?
Yeah. Yeah, never been good with that. Never been good.
Yeah, with the blonde cheerleader, she was. I thought she was actually better in this one than the first. I think because her character was established and she was just able to let loose a bit. And then, how far did you get to?
Oh shit, I don't remember. I'll say it's probably like 20, 30 minutes in. About 20 or 30
Oh, so you don't get the bit where she's trapped in the rocks?
No.
Oh, God, alright. We might have to come back and do this again.
Yeah, I got shit like that this week.
Oh dear, oh well. First outing, why not?
It's a trial. It's a trial. It's a trial, I'd say.
Ah well, all in all, it was a fun movie. Towards the end though, it kind of slowed down a bit and went a bit, But I can forgive that for, I don't think there's going to be any more. I think this was just like a love note to the first one. I think if they try a third one, they'll just jump a shark and it'll be sort of finished.
I feel like these kind of lend to that opportunity, because it is so tongue in cheek. Anyways, I don't know where the fuck they go with it. Like if they go with the time period change, the time period change, or it's 2 years apart. That'll be a little excessive. That'll be a little excessive to have a 16-year-old kid with a babysitter. Whatever.
Yeah.
We can see what happens.
No, they kind of dropped the premise with the second one. He doesn't have a babysitter anymore because of the first event, so doesn't really. The universe could go on, but I think it would just die after this one. I think it was just a nice love note. A sequel that we weren't expecting, but I really enjoyed. But all in all, I thought a good movie. I just had a laugh, and that's sometimes what you need.
Oh, absolutely.
I think there's too many people in the whole horror world, or just consumers in general now, want this super serious intellectual experience, and they want everything ticked at once. It's really, really strange, and then they actually get so upset and angry and just I can't explain it. What is wrong with people today?
Yeah, I don't get it. It's especially like that. It's like on the American side, the post 9/11 shit. The post 9/11 shit. That's when torture porn became a thing. It's like, aren't we past that shit? It's like, aren't we past that shit now? Can't we? Why does shit always have to be so serious?
Yeah, I have to say, I've said this before and other things. I hate torture porn.
To me, it's like found footage. To me, it's like done right. Like, if it's done right. If it's not, cool. Well, if it's not, just like every other fucking was just like every other fucking that was boring. That was boring.
Yeah, I just find it very cliche. I think they need to stop telling the story, and they just worry about effects and gore and splatter, and it's just about being more shocking. But you can't suspend if you don't have a good story to drag you along. You can't suspend disbelief.
No, of course.
And that's just my thing, that if you don't have, like, this movie had a charming story. It actually worked. And because it wasn't taking itself so seriously, it worked because they weren't trying to be anything. In fact, the running joke the whole way was, the sequel's going to be better than the first one, but you know it's not, but it is. Ha! You know, and they're making fun of themselves the whole way through the movie, and that was really good. You know what I mean? It was finally back to, yeah, let's have some fun on screen. It's actually allowed, and you're allowed to laugh, and you're allowed to switch your brain off for 2 hours, and there doesn't need to be a message, and there doesn't need to be a cause, and there you know, the world today of I must have a flag waving for something and do something. I must preach to you and tell you that. It's like, come on, fucking calm down, people.
Yeah, no shit. Just have a little fun. Just have a little fun. We're all gonna die.
Yeah, relax. The world is going to end in a couple of billion years anyway. There's nothing we can do about it. The sun's going to expand, and we're going to be gone. We've got maybe 100 years in us now. That's it. It's a blink in the eye in the world of the universe. Just fucking relax. Get your personal shit together. Pay your bills. Get a roof over your head. Once that's done, fucking chill out.
Yeah.
And that's my and that's my political / religious / fucking life affirming message. Just fucking get your shit sorted out and then relax. Because
I can get behind it.
That's about as much politics you're going to get in this show. Because fuck's sake, honestly, there's far too much, and I think that's why I love this movie. Because for once, you just get to go, right, that's enough of that. Oh, by the way, I've got little segmenty things. When you watch this back, you'll see I've tried to be clever. It'll probably not work. But next segment is Horrorific Remakes. Aha!
It worked?
It did, I think. I think it worked.
It worked.
Aha! So, Horrorific Remakes, we are going to go through, because this is the whole culture at the moment. Remakes, reboots, there's very little original stuff anymore. Everything has to be a franchise.
Of course. It's because Hollywood too scared to put their money in something original.
Yeah, so we're going to look at these and probably tear them apart. I can understand something more than 20 years old doing a remake with technology. So if something was a really good story but the effects weren't there, like just to veer off from the horror and go into sci-fi, I'm looking forward to see how this new Dune movie works out.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested.
Because the first one, I loved Stanley Kubrick's David Lynch, loved the first one, but the effects just weren't there to do what I think the director wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So when the technology isn't there to do an epic movie, and the opportunity comes to redo it, that's where I understand remakes. What I don't like is in today's show episode, for example, when they're just doing it for the sake of it, or just slapping a franchise label on just to tell a story when there's no need. That I don't like. This movie we're going to talk about, the remake of Child's Play.
Dude, I'm like the exact opposite. I'm a pretty big fan of the Child's Play series.
So did I, because they actually built a character. Mm-hmm. Right, the first one.
I mean, there's some of the films that kind of aren't that good.
Yeah, Cult of Chucky was a bit weird.
What?
That's a bit weird. It was. I think because Chucky was like off to the side. I love the whole Andy Chucky interaction. Andy just lost his shit, but it was one of those. Where's it going until the end, and then it's like, yeah, finally, why didn't you just do it at the start? You know, it was just. But
well, that's why I think they were setting up was almost another series of Child's Play shit. Like you know how they did the Seed, Bride to Seed, stuff like that. Like I felt like that's where they were going to go with the Cult series. So there was going to be at least another movie or two following that story arc. But you know, then we got this instead.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like I said at the start, Chucky was a doll. It could have been any, you know what I mean, anything, but because he got disfigured, that's what made the character. That actual particular single doll separated out from the rest of the Buddy series. Mm-hmm. And this movie, they just went straight to creepy, like from the start.
Yeah, I love it.
It's just like, what?
Well, that's like the beginning was so fucking important to set it aside from the original series because of course we know it's well we knew they would remake, but as soon as like they start with the beginning, so it's a reimagining. It's sort of like the Nightmare on Elm Street where it's like this is a different story on the same character you love.
God, I'm gonna have to watch that after. I just realised with this series, I realise I've just set myself up to have to watch that fucking movie. We're going to have to do it for an episode, and I've been avoiding that movie, so I have not watched it.
Are you serious? You've never seen it?
It's on the. I'm like, I just have refused to do it.
Dude, it is so fucking good. Like I all the haters that are like, oh, it sucked. You know, Freddy being a child molester, that's bullshit. It's like
he was.
It's a child molester in the first series too. It's so good.
I haven't. Well, I'm probably going to have to do it for this show now. You know what I mean? I'm going to have to suffer for my art.
There's suffering. It is a fantastic film. Once you get past the fact, and of course, has to do with Child's Play somehow.
Yeah.
But once you get past that, oh no, they recast Freddy as somebody else. It's fine. Like it is. Honestly, I love it. I ended up seeing it probably like 2 or 3 times in theaters. My wife. Like I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, maybe I'm too much of a purist because Freddy was the one that took me in. But we're going off on a tangent.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. This could have been a good movie, Child's Play, if it was a standalone thing on its own. My problem is they shoehorned it into the sort of Chucky franchise. It was like they didn't have the guts. They could have called this doll anything else, and it could have been another spooky doll movie. So what? There's fucking hundreds out there. You're not.
Yeah, but I think that would have been the problem for the film. Is if they would have something else because if without having the equity in the original film series, I don't think people would have really given that shit. Which is sad. Of course, an original idea going to shit. Even though this sort of like could, but whatever. We're not getting into that. I thought it was fantastic.
But
especially in the first like 15 minutes, they set up that it's completely different. And they set up, it's not a voodoo curse. This is just programmer.
They fucking go nuts. He didn't get enough caffeine and then throws himself out a window. You're like,
I mean, we've all been there, right?
You've got to fuck your shit up. Yeah, there's times I've been in work and sometimes I've wanted to hit the fucking execute button and just fucking destroy everything. Especially when you work in data, it's like, okay, and you start writing the query, or I've done it with the boss. I've set up 2 emails, and I'm like, do you want me to send this one or this one? And just watch my boss's face go, oh, okay, Colin, who's pissed you off? So I can understand that frustration. It was weird though, because you'd expect like a multinational company not to be like a Chinese sweatshop, as if it's almost like they're making knockoff Chuckies, that whole setup.
Yeah, but that also makes sense for film too, because it's a knockoff Chuckies anyways.
Do you know, actually, I think that would have worked if they had made them a knockoff Chucky. If they had the universe where the Child's Play, the Buddy doll, was actually there and established, and if they had made this a knockoff Chucky, because it looked like a knockoff, you know what I mean? That was the whole thing. It looked like it went straight to horror doll and not actually something that you would buy. Like, you would not buy your kid. That's something I'd buy for me, like a creepy doll that's set on the shelf. It's not something you'd buy for a kid because it just looked. Ugh.
Yeah. No, I would have it. You can't see, but I would have it right next to my Good Guy doll. I have.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like went straight to the after effect. If I had made the story that these were knockoff Chuckies, and then the whole scene with like that warehouse with practically, they may as well have the roofs dripping and leaking. You know what I mean? That was the whole setup. And these were people just making, like I said, it had to just be knockoff Child's Play dolls, and the mother went and bought it off a dark alley instead of actually in the store. To me, it would have worked. That would have actually clicked that little switch in my brain and made me on board.
Yeah, I think honestly, going remakes and shit, like I think that was like doing something like that with Ghostbusters, the remake of Ghostbusters. That would have made it work so much better. Because that's another movie I really enjoyed. But they the problem is they had a franchise and they didn't set it up in the existing universe. And that's what turns a lot of people off with shit like this. Because it's something different and it could work. But you're not acknowledging the original films.
I think that's part of this nasty culture we have at the moment, though, and that's the underlying problem. Without getting into anything, there's a nastiness out here of if you're over a certain age, you are hated, and everything you love must be stamped on and destroyed. And I just don't get it. There's more than enough room for older people and younger people. This weird thing at the moment that's going on just boggles my mind, because to me there's no need. I don't know, maybe more people need to get laid. Is there, you know what I mean? There's just...
yeah, probably.
What's going on? Like, it's just... I don't know. I think a lot of this, why they feel like they have to piss on the original with these remakes. It's a compulsion. There's like something going on in the background. Somebody's having a bad day and they just hate the world and little ferret.
Yeah, sorry. If you guys hear random noises, it's my parents are out, you know.
Or maybe the gods of the horror movies are coming to punish us for these bad reviews, but well, not really a bad review. You just it's not a like. I have this right. Once I got past like the first scene and realised where I was going, I have to admit I loved the kid characters. They brought something to the table. They weren't wooden. These kids actually acted, which I really liked. And it actually went into 80s horror, sort of Goonies type thing. I think that's the closest I can think of. Oh shit! And instead of just freaking out and like somebody's fucking severed head ends up in the apartment. Hi, Andy.
Tell your parents like, let's throw it down the garbage chute.
Yeah, let's wrap it in Christmas paper and fucking, you know what I mean, just go right there. You know, that was funny. Like, these kids actually brought something to the movie which I was surprised at, because normally when you have kids in movies now, they're just wooden little, and it's the adults have to carry the whole thing.
Some of the problem too is like how they're written. Like that's one thing we really got well in the 80s. Like, you know, kids' parts being written like how kids talk, and we don't see that too often with movies. Like, it's either, you know, the hyper stupid child or, you know, the hyper intelligent child. It's never just like that middle ground average kid, and we definitely got that with these kids.
Yeah, and that made them endearing then, because they were being themselves instead of this pseudo-intellectual thought pieces that are being put out that teach you something. You know, I think people are forgetting that entertainment is for fun. And the whole point of entertainment is you do your intellectual thinking when it matters, as in when you're earning a living or running your household, or if you're part of a cause that means something to you. That's when you do your thinking. But when you go to the cinema, when you open a book, that is your escapism. Mm-hmm. And people are, honestly, I think they're forgetting it these days, and the lines are becoming so blurred that's why everyone's just miserable right now.
Yeah.
And this, yeah, it was a fun movie. I just, like I said, I had a wee bit of a struggle because of the way they set up the doll, and I think if it had have been a knockoff Chucky, that would have filled the gap for me, which I needed. If it had been a knockoff of the same brand, you know, running parallel with the same universe, so the Buddy series was still there. Because the thing with Child's Play is it didn't destroy, which this movie ended up doing, was, you know, I mean, the CEO had to put out a statement and had to recall all the products. The Chucky series, that didn't happen because
it was only one doll.
It was only one doll, and it was such a unique thing, and he was never actually caught. I mean, these murders happened, but it was never actually. The fans knew who Chucky was, but the universe didn't. Apart from those in the know.
Yeah.
And that's where the first one was really clever, you know. This one, I think if it had been a knockoff made by a shitty factory, you know, with a roof dripping, and this programmer, because he's making these knockoffs and he's probably a failed programmer, you know, couldn't make it in the corporate world, and he's doing these things, and then he's getting treated like shit, and then loses the plot. That would have just fitted in that little bit, which I needed to be fully on board with this movie, to go, yeah, give me more, give me 20 of these, sort of thing. Let's see where we're going with this. So, yeah, the whole thing, come up to the end, the whole, like, Teddy Ruxpin on steroids, you know, that was fun when it did all these types of dolls. Yeah. Was funny, and then it played into the whole. There's another horror movie that did it with mobile phones, a mobile app. I'll have to dig out the name of it, but it was sort of the same vein of that. Are these apps and people being tied into technology and technology turning? This is the modern version of the Terminator. You know, I was saying if the robot overlords are coming for us, and it played into that kind of fear. And yeah, that's that kind of thing. Once a movie picked up its pace, yeah, I was on board. You know, I did enjoy it.
Yeah, that was just. I admittedly, when I first watched, I was, you know, arms across. I'm like, all right, make me like you.
Yeah, I was kind of the same self. I was like,
I'm sorry, I was sold from the beginning, pretty much. I was sold from the beginning.
Yeah, like I said, it took me a minute, but
I mean, it's hard when. It's hard when like this, like franchises that we know so fucking well, you know, the rights are split. The rights are split. Like that's two separate things. No, it's difficult. No, it's difficult. I think this one was pretty successful. Was pretty successful.
Yeah, like I said, it took me a minute, but when I got into the actual flow of the story, I did enjoy it. Like I said, I just wanted that one little bit to fix it for me. Which, and that's actually a good point you make. Maybe understanding the background, I know it kind of removes the magic, but you have to understand what's going on for these things to happen. So, like, writers split, actors have problems, production companies, the suits get involved. There's so many things that go on in the background which either makes or breaks movies and franchises. You know what I mean? It's like us sitting here right now.
I mean, every now and then you'll get a happy. Every now and then you'll get a happy, like Jason X. Surprise, like
that was fun.
All the fucking rights, all the fucking rights, you know, having their squabble because originally it was actually supposed to be Jason, then Jason X, then X, but they didn't want to fuck up like continuity, so it's like, oh shit, okay, how do we make it safe? Okay, how do we make it safe Freddy vs. Jason have Freddy vs. Jason still ready. Future in space, or Jason in space, or Jason in future in space. And I think that that's probably one of the goofiest, funnest films in that series.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I was like, okay. The hologram of the kids, we're having premarital sex. Look at them, these big passionate sleeping bags. It's just stupid. I love that android character. She was great.
Yeah, so good.
But once again and this is where if Hollywood would pull their heads out of their arse and calm themselves down a wee bit and stop trying to be the moral compasses to the world, your actors, your entertainers, just settle yourselves down a bit, take one of your chill pills, from your dealers and just fucking calm down. We'll make it better entertainment, because we've kind of been lost there for a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see the streaming services now are where the movie theatres are failing. The streaming services are kind of picking up the ball and understanding that there's a market for this, that there's those of us that just want to have fun and enjoy ourselves for an hour and a half. Like these 3-hour mega films are okay now and again, but some of us just want like an hour and a half, box of popcorn, just chill out, forget the day, and go to bed happy afterwards.
Yeah, that's all I want in life. That's all I want in life. I work 12 hours a day, so I can come home and watch shit.
That's it.
Give me my fun shitty movie.
And if it gets a few jumps and scares along the way, albeit, and that's the thing about the horror genre. It kind of teeters on the brink of madness and hilarity. It's initially, I'm gonna say with the Nightmare on Elm Street, they understood after the second one that it was only going to run its course being frightening, and they understand there's potential here for comedy. Like the Critters movies as well. We'll probably go delve into them at some stage, but they understood quite quickly that yes, there's only so much you can be frightened or jumped or scared, so they have to drop that and go with the comedy, which it works for me. If I'm enjoying myself, I'm enjoying myself, and that's and that's when you see once again this whole online culture of everyone's so intense and angry and frustrated. It's like, okay, can you just enjoy yourself? It's allowed. You can.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible. Yeah, I don't think it's possible. Or having somebody paying attention to, having somebody saying, "Good job, we understand." Saying, "Good job, we understand."
Yeah, it's hopefully the young ones will get over this. That's why you've got old farts like us on camera talking to you and telling you how to be it. We're giving you a verbal spanking, young man, young lady. Just
damn it.
It's bad when you have to tell kids to go out and have fun now.
At this point, it's like, how do you do it? At this point, it's like, how do you do it? I don't think people seem to understand it. I don't think people seem to understand it. You can go outside of your own. You can go outside of your own. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to leave your house. You can stay at home and enjoy the entire world and enjoy everything. Everything. Like, movies are beautiful now.
Yeah, like I've been a movie buff from fucking walk. E.T. was my first movie when it came out.
Nice.
That was my first introduction to like movies. Mr. Spielberg took me there and he made me cry, the bastard.
Yeah. Every single.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. Even knowing that it's just a shitty latex. Lose my shit.
Yeah, that's it.
Lose my shit.
Don't go. But that's story building. That's storytelling. That's the essence of it. It can be a wobbly puppet and it's not real, but if you put enough character into it and you have everyone else believing, that's where you enjoy yourself. Suspension of disbelief, just knock yourself out for an hour and a half. And that's where I hope these movies now are starting to come back to this. That, like the earlier one, The Babysitter, I hope that's the start now of the tide swinging back, that we can just go out and enjoy ourselves.
Well, the nice thing is, with the whole thing of nostalgia, everybody's calling nostalgia, like the 80s are coming back, like the 80s are coming back, style, like Amblin-esque isn't a bad word. Like I think that'll Like I think as long as they keep going with that, because really like 80s, because really like he's fucking probably sucked, but the movies probably sucked, but the movies.
Yeah,
that's some of the most beautiful, uplifting ever to exist, and great adventures. Like that's what great adventures, especially in times like this. Especially in times like we need to be taken out of everything going on in the world. And just having a fun little adventure. And just having a fun little adventure. At the end, you're just kind of like, yeah. At the end, you're just kind of like, yeah.
It's almost like the other way, because the 80s were terrible, and I can attest that more than anybody where I grew up. It was not fun. But it seems to be the world today, in terms of, we're living better than ever. We've better healthcare than ever, and anybody can complain about that, but if you go back 20, 30 years, you go back 100 years, we're living pretty good. We've all got roofs overhead, we've got entertainment, we've got, our basic needs are met. So it's almost like the entertainment industry has to make us miserable because life is too good. Is that what's going on today? Have we solved the problem? Because we're not starving on the streets and worrying about nuclear war and having gnarly stuff going on. We're living too good, so therefore we go to the movie theatres to feel miserable? Is that what it is? We've solved the problem. We've found out what's going on. There you go. And talking of nostalgia, I think it's time to go to our next segment, which is the Horrorific Vault. So, us being old people and looking back fondly at our younger years, this whole segment's all about stepping back in time to, I don't know, we're fast and loose, but I'm thinking minimum 20 years?
Say 20, 30. Say 20, 30, something like that.
Because with the remakes and everything's an homage to like the last 10, 20 years anyway, so with this I want to go way back. So for this one we decided to look at the Hammer House of Horror. Now this one we looked at the first episode, The Witching Time, but I think with these ones we could probably binge them in a couple of days, and maybe future episodes we'll maybe do 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, probably.
But the Horror House of Hammer was a TV show in the 60s. And it was part of the whole Hammer House, and the company still exists because it did The Woman in Black and it did a couple of other ones like recently, but Hammer was the epitome of horror.
Yeah.
Anyone that's any sort of horror fan or likes the franchise, if you don't know who Hammer is or haven't looked back at these guys, then where are you?
You gotta figure shit out.
Yeah,
this is like classic.
This is where most of us started. If you haven't watched the Hammer horror when you're growing up, and then you just didn't get horror. Honestly, this movie company ran from the 30s. This company was a powerhouse, and there was no getting away from it, and it did everything. Hammer brought us Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, Peter Cushing. It brought us everything, and this was a TV show. And what we have in the UK, and this is also interesting because I can get to talk the difference between US, UK culture and movies. In the UK, after 9 PM, you get boobs and bums. We have no problem with that whatsoever. It's great.
No, that definitely. Yeah, no, that. It's like, oh, hey. It's like, oh.
Yeah, we had no.
You can see it the whole time, and then it pops out. It's like the whole time, and then it pops out. It's like, fucking A.
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm having to struggle with modern kind of TV shows today. They're so sanitized, and things like Netflix and all just they hint at it. Sex sells. Nobody can deny that because you can protest or whatever around, but you stick somebody up in skimpily clad or somebody well built, they're going to sell the product. Sex sells, just go with it. But everyone looks the same. Like I was watching Lucifer recently, and Even one of my favourite characters in it, Linda, who actually had some lumps and bumps, has now become slimmed down and looks exactly the same as the rest of the cast. And it's boring. You know what I mean? They wear their skimpy dresses, but they all look exactly the same. They're all the same shape of bodies. There's nothing unique. It's like they're all out of all out of the mould. And there's no titillation anymore, which I think is a real shame, because especially with horror, that's part of stimulating the senses. You know what I mean? You have to have a titillation before that. You know what I mean? Because that's what ropes you in.
Yeah, exactly.
Friday the 13th got it right. Friday the 13th, we're not afraid to show a few boobs and bums and that there and get you, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? And you knew it was coming, but that was part of the fun. And the Hammer House of Horror, it did the same thing. Like I said, this was a network TV.
Yeah, and that still blows my mind. You know, where times have come. Because even in the 90s, we got stuff like that, like stateside, like that. Like, you know, we had like the remake, and we had like the remake. That's one that I remember. That's one that I remember. As a kid, you know, you wait until like 10, 11 at night, and you turn it on 11 at night. You know, you might see something, you might not, but it's still you might not.
The anticipation was there, and the excitement.
It was proper horror.
I love that. I always thought The Outer Limits was like a cheap remake of the Twilight Zone.
Oh,
because I loved, like, I watched the Twilight Zone both in black and white and in colour. Sorry, show me, like, you know what I mean? In case you don't know already, I'm old. If there aren't enough signs there. But yeah, things like the Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, they were great. Just great series. It's just storytelling. Once again, storytelling was the primary focus, and everything else kind of fell along. But this series, basically the story is, you have David Winter. He's like a movie producer, which also is funny as well, because when you see his setup, back then that would be considered far-fetched and out there and super advanced. Yeah. and now we do the same with a laptop. You know what I mean? It's
now it's like, man, why does he have so much shit? Why does he have so much shit?
Just for sound effects. It's I was a personal thing. You know, being a producer for so long and being really into that kind of making stuff. You know, I just love the fact that in the 60s that was the setup you need, and that probably cost the equivalent of a few $1,000. You know what I mean? But that was him being a professional, and the whole setup is him and his wife are basically just they're in a marriage of convenience. There's some sort of, it never really alluded to why, because like I said, it's only an hour episode, but their marriage is broken down. She's off having it off with the doctor, their GP, and you know, he's drinking himself to death and is just basically waiting. All of a sudden, boom, stormy night, this witch appears in the what was it? It was a stable. Yeah, it was the horse's stable. Just I don't know. Just it was fun. Like you've seen this horror trope 100 times. Like the wind, the storm, dog bark. I mean, it just had everything led up. You just knew where it was going. But with these movies, old time horror movies, it was always the protagonist's mistake that causes the horror to happen.
Oh yeah, always. Oh yeah, always.
So you just knew everything was going nice. You know he's going to screw up. You know he's going to do something stupid, and that's what's going to kick everything off. That was kind of the trope, and everybody knew it was coming. So he brings this girl in. She's terrified. Now she could have been from a mental, you know what I mean? She could have been from a mental asylum, escaped, could have hit her head, 100 things. All he had to do for this movie or for this episode not to happen was give her a drink of brandy or whiskey, call the doctor, and just wait. Have her chill out on the sofa. But no, what's he do? He goes and locks her in the bedroom. Like, who does that?
I mean, it makes sense. It was different. I mean, it makes sense. It was different.
Like, who the hell just... Yeah, hold on. Lock. And you think things aren't going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you're already traumatized. Who the fuck just... Excuse me when I throw you in here and lock you. While somebody's freaking out at like light bulbs and stuff. Yeah, I've got the answer.
Yeah.
Like that that you just knew it was going to go wrong from there. The minute he clinked that door locked, you're like, okay, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And then the episode just went, you know what I mean? He just got everything he deserved. I just love the way she tortured him sexually. That was hilarious.
It was.
Like,
it was.
The whole perception, every man's dream is to have a rampant nymphomaniac that like throws you around the bedroom and does it, but reality is, it's not. You know what I mean? It might be fun for an hour, but if it's like 12 hours later and you're like, stop, please, no more. And she has him absolutely, you could see it in the scratches in the back and all, and just has him absolutely worn out. It was brilliant, you know. And then she just I think the scene. I think the scene is when his wife finally shows up and he's just sitting at the board. And then drops his head. Like he's so exhausted. Like he's so exhausted. Everything to be over. Yeah, and that's what I love about the old time. They managed to do the psychological horror without explaining it. That's where I think these old movies and TV shows come into their own. Is that they set up the scene and they don't go clinically into a blow by blow explanation, where a lot of modern everything has to be explained in every finite detail.
Yeah, and it's like with this, it's like up until the end, you don't know if he's imagining shit or not, because he's alluded to that he's just losing his fucking mind anyways. And it's not until the very end. Yeah, we find out that she's actually real.
And that was it, because the setup was there. Like I said, he's drinking heavily. He's also working in an industry where he has to use his imagination and step out of his head. So, in that respect, the premises are that this could be his imagination, but it was beautifully. I just thought it was beautifully done. I love that. Like, I love this old time stuff. There's another one I need to find. Was it Monster Q, where I loved as a kid, but a giant lizard. I'll have to dig that one out. We'll have to do it sometime. But once again, Hammer Horror just, they had a charm about them. I'm just so sorry this movie company disappeared.
Yeah, they did disappear for a couple. Yeah, they did disappear decades, for a couple. Nice thing is they're back, kind of. Nice thing is they're back.
Yeah, and they're struggling, I think, which is a shame. I think if more people, if they keep the same ethos and more people come on board, then I think Hammer is what we need in today's age. I think we need a.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, this is something. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, this is something from what, 50, 60, 70 years ago. 50, 60, 70 years ago.
I enjoyed the episodes.
Yeah, it's like some of the like technology's a bit different, but I mean it holds up. I mean it like it's still a completely relatable. Like it's still a completely relatable story. It just transcends time. It just transcends.
Yeah, because there's some old things you'll watch from 20 years ago, and you're like, ugh. Like kids shoot, you know what I mean? Like if you watch Knight Rider and Airwolf now, you're kind of going, oh. Where as a kid, I was raptured every Saturday afternoon. You know what I mean? I was there on the TV screen. Now you're back like, oh. Did I really love that? If you look back at the Transformers movie, you're like, oh, did I really love that? You know, but with these, yeah, there's a charm, and I think if we get back to that charm again of people just wanting to entertain, I think we'll be onto a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Well. No, all in all, I think next couple of episodes, I think we'll do a few of these, and we'll wrap it, because there's only 13 episodes in this series, and I think we can get it all done in a couple of weeks. So originally my thinking was do an episode a week, but I think because I think we'll maybe do 2 or 3, and we'll talk about them, and then we can move on to other things, because there's so much out there. We can get the shovel and spade, go to the graveyard, and find some real gems out there. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to talk with modern movies with the same love that we have back then. And I don't think it's just an old person thing. I think genuinely there's something missing from today's movie creation or art in general. That's another reason why this whole show, we're trying to encourage creators again, you know, and get people who are writing and stuff out there. Because I think we need to try and bring it back. things are too sanitized now.
Yeah.
They're too intellectual. You know, there's no fun anymore, and I think we want to try and bring back a bit of fun to the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, nice and short. I don't know how long we'll manage to go on with this here, but I think as we'll get more topics, we'll kind of, like I said, it's a brand new segment. We'll expand, we'll test and adjust, and we'll kind of get there with a few things. But here, we've done it. We've come out with the first one. So what I want to say before we finish up is just a massive thank you to September's contributors. So our other segment, Horrific Tales, what we're doing with that is we have authors, aspiring writers. They are providing stories. We're just performing them. Just the whole point is just to try and get stories out there. Storytelling is one of my passions. If you've seen me on other podcasts and previous things, you know that I'm a major proponent for storytelling and just seeing people's imaginations get brought to life, and that's what we're going to try and do. So for September we had Vanessa Rowan, PJ Reid and Nicole. Thank you very much, ladies, for giving your stories and giving us a chance to perform them. We've already got some stories lined up for October with a few authors, so keep up to date with our social media, so YouTube, Facebook. I'm trying to work out the Instagram thingy.
Let's talk about being old. Let's talk about being old. I don't get it.
I'm scratching my head going, do you just take pictures and put them out there? I'm trying to keep up with the kids, damn it. But I'm getting there. So like I said, we're all on the Twitter thing as well. I'm kind of throw something out there, but I'm not emotionally invested in any of this. It's just whatever you enjoy. If for somebody who wants to get involved that knows social media, come help us out, because I'm hopeless at it, but I'm trying my best. But like I said, keep in touch. Drop a few comments how you thought about the show. We'll look over this, we'll test and adjust, we'll get the technology working, and hopefully moving forwards and you enjoy what we do. So until next time, folks, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.
Keep it horrific.